regular session, this 20th day of November, 2023. I also have a full year as well for you. So thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, now that everybody's back to place, I move that we adopt the resolution.
Second.
A motion and a second to adopt a resolution recognizing Ms. Monica Tyson Crawford. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously, Madam Clerk. All right, moving on to public comment period. Now, I have a lot of people that are signed up. We have several public hearings this evening. So I'm going to go down the list first. Let me know if you're here for the public comment period, which is your 3 minutes. It's a period consisting of 30 minutes. You get 3 minutes to present, or if you're here to speak during the public hearings. Ms. Elizabeth Longman.
3 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Alan Longman.
Yeah.
Public comment, sir?
Yeah.
All right. Taylor Beam Byrne?
Beam
Yes.
for the agenda item 9.
Okay. Mitchell Cotton, or Cotter.
I'm here for I'm not going to speak.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Barb and Gary, starts with a K, I believe. Barb and Gary Cobb.
Oh, we just had a comment, it wasn't for public hearing.
During public comment period. Yes, ma'am, I got you. Right. This is a tough one. Maybe is it Doug? Knob? Not? 105?
Neither. Neither one.
Neither one, sir? Okay. Everett Blake III?
Public comment section.
Yes, sir. Mr. Jerry Reese?
Public comment.
Yes, sir. Miss Brittany Lassiter?
Public comment.
Yes, ma'am. Nancy Bosley?
I withdraw, please.
Yes, ma'am. Mark Wendt?
Yes, sir.
Public comment? Yes, sir. Johnny Shanton, or Shenton? Public comment?
Yes, sir.
Zach Hobbs?
I will speak on the agenda item.
Yes, sir. And Kemp Johnson?
The agenda item 9.
Yes, sir. All right, well, Kevin Matthews?
Public comment.
All right. Well, we'll get started with the first on the list, Miss Elizabeth Longman. Oh, pardon me, I'll now open the floor for public comment. Public comment will consist of a period of 30 minutes. Each presenter will have 3 minutes in order to speak. First on the list, I have Miss Elizabeth Longman.
Elizabeth Longman. County Commissioners, I come before you today to remind you again about your fiduciary duty to the taxpayers to be a good steward of their money. Wayne Coates, current sheriff of Harnett County, has continuously displayed a flagrant disregard for human life and human rights. He has, on many, many different occasions, through the death of Eric Griffith, who's one of them, now Mr. Searles is another, and the countless other injuries that have occurred inside the jailhouse. You now have a current lawsuit, I think it's Renardo Bryant, V. William Grady, Curtis Thompson, Wayne Coates, Sheriff of Harnett County. This is now like, I was counting the $6 million we're about to pay through the insurance as taxpayers. We've paid the Livingston $6 million. You're getting ready to pay the Eric Griffith $6 million. You're going to pay the William Searles $6 million. And now you're going to pay the Bryant $6 million. That is $12 million that we are going to bear because of Wayne Coates and his maladministration and his inept ways. I am asking, at least for the taxpayer record of what's going on in the jail, will the board be supportive of the move or a move by the county attorney to go ahead and ask the SBI to simply investigate what's going on and formulate a report that could be seen as to what is happening? Because clearly, if we are housing the operations of the Blood Gang for the state of North Carolina operating out of Cell Block C in Harnett County Jail, something is wrong. Something is missing. All the other things going on the street are bad enough, but now they're literally operating out of the jailhouse, according to the lawsuit filed by Renardo Bryant. Please, please file or ask the SBI to come in and investigate the sheriff's office, investigate what's going on in there, and stop funding terrorism. Because as long as you keep funding Wayne Coates, you keep funding terrorism. And you're just as bad as any of those other terrorist organizations, Al Qaeda, etc., that is out there using taxpayer money to do it in Harnett County.
Mr. Allen Longman.
Name is Alan Longman, 234 Hamilton Road, Bond Level. I agree with many things that you have proposed today, that what we talked about, what my wife talked about, intervenes into what we are to trust. One, it's not the gangs running the jail. Sheriff Coates runs the jail. It's the gangs that are used to help him run the jail. This type of association on the inside, what is the association on the outside? How can you fight a drug problem if you're involved with the gangs themselves? If there is things being said that they're involved in the gangs itself. The other rumor with the Searles was that he wasn't given his diabetic medicine. So he wanted to file a complaint just before he was ready to leave. And then he ends up being killed. I mean, you know, it's a little too coincidence. We need to finally take a look at the SBI come in and take a look at all the problems we've had for years. We need an answer. We want a formal investigation. Nothing has been done by the DA's department, and we need something to be done from the outside so there's no corruption involved, so we get the facts of what's going on and not pay this ridiculous sum of money for all the cases that are going to be brought up in the future to those that were mistreated in the jail over years. My other thing I want to speak about is that the planning board, I just want them to be able to, so that the people can see what's going on in the planning board, whether they like it or not. I think the people should see it free streamed. I want them to see the process of what's going on in other places that will eventually affect them. The biggest part of corruption is in the planning board, and in whatever state or county you go into. And it needs to be brought out so that it's fair. We already have a problem with conflict of interest when it came to the planning board already. We need to make sure that we earn the confidence of the people, because we're at a state where our infrastructure is so poor that people's lives are in danger. It's a strain on the school system. It only pays $900 per student. That's ridiculously low when other places are paying up to $24 or more per student. We need to get our priorities correctly, and we need to have the proper funding, and we need to do that by not overcrowding the schools, overcrowding the roads, overcrowding our sewer system, overcrowding our water system. We all had discussions about this. Get the infrastructure straight first instead of giving money back to the residents, which is not doing much for the county. You need to spend it on infrastructure because you're losing money by not being ready in infrastructure anyway. It's getting to a point people are going to be killed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Barb and Gary Bob.
My name is Barbara Koblick. I live at 220 Sherman Road, and that's in the Riegelwood subdivision. And this is just more of a comment, I think more of a thank you. We've been working for several months now with particularly Commissioner Weatherspoon, the Planning Department, NCDOT, in connection with the Serenity subdivision that's going in. And we have a stub out street that's 20 feet wide with great big drainage ditches on either side, and it's just not conducive at all for the safety of the people in our subdivision. Have it as a cut through to the new phase of Serenity. But you know, I think through working with you guys, and I think homework that's been done, we're coming to a very good resolution. We have a very amicable partnership, open communications with you guys and CDOT and Greenfield, sorry. You know, to kind of, I guess, proving that cohesive working together is going to come to a better answer than being hard-nosed about something. So I just want to go on record. I'm a resident. I'm also the president of the HOA, but I'm not speaking for the entire subdivision. I'm just speaking for myself as a homeowner, that I appreciate the work that you guys are doing to help us keep our quality of life safe for its residents. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Everett Blake, third.
Good evening, Board. Everett Blake, 352 Gardner Road in Angier. I only have like 7 things to say, so I'll make this pretty quick. Did y'all notice in the Daily Record today that 3 girls from Harnett Central signed commitment letters to go continue their academic career in colleges, which is pretty amazing. When you look at it, 5 now of the 9 girls who started last year are going to go play college ball. Says a lot when you look at a school to support those girls and the academic program, that they can go to college, get a little scholarship money, do some great things. Okay, 1 is mine, but the other ones are pretty awesome too. Secondly, I'm coming in advance of what will hope to be a board nomination. After spending, I think, 6 years on the Harnett County Planning Board, I'm looking to remain there, but also move back to the town of Angier and work with their planning board as we rewrite some new UDO concepts within the town. Since I'm in the ETJ, I need your approval once the town board approves me or appoints me, which we think is going to happen. Third, when it comes to agenda item 12 and 13 with MVI homes that are on your agenda later on, if there are stipulations that are being written in these agreements, I would recommend y'all move these 2 petitions back to the Board of Adjustments. That way the Board of Adjustments can force a attachment between the property and the agreements, not a simple rezoning, which is what you're going to hear today. So the zonings have no real legal standing. It's an idea, it's a concern, but I don't think it actually carries the legal, it only rezones the property. It doesn't take any next adjustments or added to the next person if the property is sold. And lastly, not 7, just really 4. I want to thank the county board planning staff. We've had the pleasure of working with them when I was in the town of Angier, working on the planning board here. You see the amount of pages that you got in your worksheets for all the work they did. I think they do a great job of putting together honest information, not their opinions on what's great or bad. It's a very simple piece of paper that they present to you, and I think they've done a phenomenal job. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jerry Reese.
Yep, my name is Jerry Rivas. I don't need to announce my address. I got enough friends. Ain't none of y'all coming over anyway. I see on your consent agenda B, it's requested that the Board of Commissioners adopt the Opioid Task Force Strategic Plan. I find it a little bit humorous that they called their program SCORE, because I can just imagine their glee at SCORE. Look at all this money we got. You know, I have a friend who is an ICE agent, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. He's in Charleston now, but he just spent 2 years in Laredo, Texas on the border. And I think his biggest drug seizure was almost 8 tons of cocaine. But he told me that unless it's more than 200 pounds, they don't even file federal charges. This is useless. This is just a money grab. This is going to do nothing. Richard Nixon declared a war on drugs 53 years ago. What happened? It was lost when it was declared. Have you reduced the amount of drugs? Anybody? Now you got convenience stores selling Delta 8 and Delta 10 THC, that somehow this is legal, and these kids eat these little gummies and they're high as a kite. But a few weeks ago, outside of the Lakes Country Store, I saw a deputy. I guess he was a deputy. He had a guy in those torture handcuffs that you can't, behind his back, searching the guy's car. And this is how the deputy looked. He had his hat on backwards and his sunglasses up here. How professional does this look for a law enforcement agent? How does this look? And the guy, one arm covered in sleeve tattoo with his Blue Line Gang flag, which is a desecration of the American flag and a violation of federal flag code. But, you know, and I looked at him and I couldn't tell, is he a cop or a customer? I mean, my God, you got a uniformed deputy standing out front who looks professional. He looks like what a deputy should look like. Shouldn't there be some kind of, there's supposedly a professional standards office. I think I'm going to go request a copy of their professional standards, because I like to know what professional standards did that idiot Kevin Letarte violate when he was doing 95 miles an hour down Highway 210 and killed 2 people, and he's probably going to get away with it because Wayne Coates and Suzanne Matthews are either literally or figuratively in bed together, and they're conspiring to get, you know, hey, we're going to get out of this deal. But I'll tell you what, this sheriff's department is a joke, and Harnett County is a statewide joke. In Wake County, you know, Raleigh, Charlotte, Greensboro, they laugh when they read about little Harnett County in the newspapers. And I've told you guys before, you have the power of the budget. How in the heck, in 2023, no body cameras or dash cameras on a modern police department? How in the hell is that even possible? Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, sir. All right, Miss Brittany Lassiter.
I'm here to discuss the rezoning of number 9. We have gathered 760 signatures for a petition. It's just not needed in the area that they're wanting to put it in. There are plenty of other places it could go. It is within 4 miles of Whitey's gas station, 4 miles of HCC gas station, 6 miles of Clibbett Springs, and 7 miles of Sheets in Lillington. There's already enough traffic. You've got new students that are going to be on the road. 401 needs to be widened completely with all that's going on. It's not going to happen with this gas station being put in. There's just a lot of community feedback that is not happy about it. So I just wanted to bring up all of that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Mark Wendt.
Thank you. My name's Mark Wendt. So I'm here to discuss that I do not want a gas station on number 9 of the agenda. It's like she said, there's plenty of them around. The traffic's horrible in front of that road. I've already lost a dog because of traffic. I just like to, I don't know what to say. There's a lot of people that I've talked to. I've have 48 signatures on a "we don't want that" protest certificate. Those are the neighbors. Those are the people in the area. There are, like the lady said, plenty of other little stores around for gas and groceries. I don't know. I would like you to not do it, not accept the zoning. And I've seen that it's the middle of a rural hub. So I'm sure the growth is going to come. Once already, 14 feet of my front yard was taken due to the Harnett Central Road being put in there. I suppose more would be taken for a turn lane to pull into a gas station next door to me. I don't know what that does for the quality of life. We all come out here in rural areas from these places to get away from the city, have a little peace, have a little quiet, enjoy a little garden, a swimming pool, things like that. Not the things that you would expect to have next door to a convenience store. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for all you do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir Johnny Shenton.
Yeah, hey, I'm Johnny Shanton. I'm at 492 Hilliard Road. I was wanting to check. We've got a development that's going on behind us that connects into 401 and off of Hilliard. That there was an informational meeting about a year and a half ago or so that we went to, and since then we hadn't heard anything. And then I've heard recently, I haven't been able to verify or not, but supposedly it was approved. So I was just wondering if there's like a standard, because I know in Wake County there is, but in Harnett, is there a standard for development proposals to actually notify surrounding neighbors other than just the the proposal meeting or the informational meeting? Because normally there should be, I would think, and then if it was approved, and again maybe it's not, but if it was approved, we should have heard about it. And if it was approved, then I'd like to know what the recourse is for homeowners if we weren't notified to have any kind of input before something was approved. So that's pretty much it. I'm looking into who those people are, but I'm still trying to figure that out.
I can get with you after this meeting if you would like, and we can discuss. But prior to a public hearing, it's published, as well as there's a sign that's put out in front of the property, just letting everybody know the date of the public hearing and when to attend.
Okay. All right, appreciate it.
All right, and last on the list, Mr. Kevin Matthews.
Board, thank you for your time. Name's Kevin Matthews. I live at 5363 Ross Church Road, which is within a stone's throw of the intersection at Ross Church Road and Highway 401. I have here a 401 corridor study from 2013, and it shows and it steps all the way over to a record of decision to be decided on 2016. This is put out by DOT. It's worthless. It's absolutely worthless. Anything that you have received from DOT in regards to doing anything on the infrastructure on the 401 corridor is worthless. Here's what DOT thinks about Harnett County. I worked for 7 years for DOT down in Division 6. DOT considers Harnett County a thoroughfare between Wake County and Cumberland County. And as long as people can get from Wake County to Cumberland County, they don't much care about what kind of trouble they have or the citizens of Harnett County have. In this corridor from Lafayette Road and now I have several friends here from Kipling, the Kipling area. We have 3 schools. We have 3 businesses that manufacture and do metalwork manufacturing. We have between a half a dozen and a dozen repair shops. I originally brought several of my friends with me tonight that live in my area. Can I see a show of hands of those that came with me tonight to talk about that intersection? And we're calling for a full stop of all rezoning and all construction until the state of North Carolina and this board put some infrastructure in place. And I'm not talking about until such time as the money is there or that the plans are there. I'm talking about until you start seeing a red, green, and a yellow light. We want something done. 2013, everybody. It's 10 years. You know what's going to happen in 10 years? We don't do something about it. We're going to be right here doing the same thing again. Enough's enough. We ask you, we elect you to look after all the interests of the tax-paying citizens in Harnett County, not just those that want to come and build subdivisions and spend money. Thank you for your time, and I'll be more than happy to speak concerning section number 8 when it comes up.
Thanks, sir. This time, I'll now close the floor for public comment period. And we will move on to our first public hearing of the night. Public hearing on proposed zoning change, Plan 2310-0001.
Hi there, good evening, Commissioners. I'm Sarah Arwer with the Harnett County Development Services. We have 3 items coming before you tonight for the public hearing portion. And our first one is case Plan 2310-0001. The applicant is Mr. Shelton Beasley. He's applying to rezone a property from commercial to the RA30 zoning district. Property is approximately 0.3 acres. It's located at 3545 US 301 North in Dunn. So the site is approximately 13,000 square foot property and is used as a single family residence. The structure on the property was constructed in 1969, and to the best available information provided through county records, it looks like the property has been used for single-family purposes since. Zoning was adopted for this part of the county in 1988, so the commercial zoning designation was established after the residence was constructed. There are several other single-family residential homes located in the vicinity, which also have a commercial zoning designation. However, it appears that they are still used for single-family purposes. Surrounding land uses of the site include single-family residences, a religious institution, and agricultural activities. Utilities available for the site include public water. Private septic is currently being utilized. There are about 6,600 daily trips for the section of US 301 North, and the site distances are described as good. We'll take a look here at the zoning district compatibility map just to give you an idea as to the proximity of the requested zoning district there to the property. You can see it's just there to the north and to the west. Land use classification compatibility map. Scroll down just a little. Thank you. This here just to show that the chart over there to the right of the map, that the uses that are permitted in the RA30 zoning district are compatible with the compact mixed use land use classification. There have been several photos of the site there provided for your review. Okay. And through staff's evaluation, staff found that the impact to the adjacent properties is reasonable, that the change of zoning to a residential zoning designation is compatible with the current surrounding land uses. Staff found that the requested zoning to the RE30 is compatible with the land use classification, compact mixed use, as this is a land use classification which permits a mix of residential and non-residential uses. Staff found that the requested zoning will enhance the public health, safety, and general welfare, as the uses permitted in the RE30 zoning district are more compatible with the surrounding land uses. The request to rezone this property did need to be evaluated for reasonableness, just based on the size of the property and the fact that there was no contiguous RA30 zoning, which was a requested zoning to the property. And at the November 6th planning board meeting, the planning board did evaluate it and found that the request was reasonable based on the compatibility with the land use. So as stated in staff's evaluation, staff's recommending approval of the request for rezoning to RA30 as it is reasonable. It will not have a unreasonable impact on the surrounding community due to the compatibility with the requested zoning district, the land use classification, and the current use of the property. At the planning board meeting, the planning board voted 5-0 to recommend approval, and there is no residents present to speak in opposition at this meeting. Staff is now open for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions or comments for staff? Hearing none, I will now open the floor for a public hearing on proposed zoning change, Plan 2310-0001. If anybody would like to speak on behalf of this property, now is your time.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shelton Beasley. I'm the one that would like you to consider that. Thank you all for being here. There's a terrible, terrible problem if you go to do financing on commercial property versus residential property. I had a approval with PNC for a VA loan until they found out it was on commercial. Another bank also gave us the same problem. I'm 78 years old. I'm 100% service-connected disabled vet, so I don't want my family to go through the hoops and the loops we went through to buy the property. So I'd certainly like for your consideration to be positive on this. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sure you have other places you could be. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you.
Mr. Beasley,
Yes, sir.
one important point. You reside next door to this property? Or right there?
I reside on this property.
Okay.
I reside on this property.
I knew it was right there close.
Yes, sir. You're right.
You didn't say that. That's why.
No, I did not. I do. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Would anybody else like to speak in regards?
Elizabeth Longman. I spoke in support of Mr. Beasley at the planning board, and I told him I'm going to come here and do it again. We all know this gentleman, long-standing, upstanding member of the community. We know the property he's talking about, and all he's asking for is to offer legacy for his children and grandchildren to be able to continue that property as a residence. And I was like, oh, it's him. Whatever he asked for, give it to him expediently. Lifelong resident of Harnett County.
Thank you. I did not know she was going to speak for me, but thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Would anybody else like to speak in regards to this proposed zoning change? Seeing nobody move, I will now close the floor for this public hearing, and I will entertain a motion in regards to this proposed zoning change.
Mr. Chairman, based on a recommendation of the planning board and staff, I would move to approve the requested rezoning from commercial to RA30.
Second.
A motion and second for Plan 2310-0001 to be approved from commercial to RA30. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously for approval, Madam Clerk. This time, we will now have a public hearing of proposed zoning change, Plan 2309-0003.
Alrighty, thank you. So for our next case, Plan 2309-0003, the applicant is Mr. Jonathan Tucker, and he's applying to rezone a 7.49 acre property located US 401 North at the intersection US 401 North and Rawls Church Road and the Hectors Creek Township. So the property is a currently vacant, unimproved site which has been used for agricultural purposes. There's a wooded area located in the center of the site and a railway located along the west property line. The surrounding land use consists of single-family residences and non-residential uses such as a residential institution and agricultural activities. Utilities services available for the site include public water. Access to a public sewer is unverified at this time. Currently, there's 8,200 daily trips on the section of US 401 North and 1,100 daily trips for the section of Rawls Church Road. Site distances from several places on the site have been described as good. The zoning district compatibility map shows you that there's some commercial zoning there just across US 401 North. The land use classification compatibility shows you the uses there permitted within the commercial zoning district are compatible with the underlying land use of employment mixed use. And several photos of the site provided for your review here, as well as the photo of the intersection of Rawls Church and US 401 intersection. Okay. So through staff's evaluation, staff found that the impact to the adjacent property owners and surrounding community is reasonable, as a requested zoning classification is in the vicinity and the property is located along a major thoroughfare. Staff found that the requested zoning district is compatible with the underlying land use, employment mixed use. Land use classification is a development node which is designed to encourage commercial activity and economic development throughout the county. Staff found that the requested zoning would enhance or maintain public health, safety, and general welfare due to the required site improvements that would be required for commercial development. Through staff's evaluation, staff was able to recommend a approval for this case based on the rezoning to commercial not have an unreasonable impact on surrounding community based on compatibility with the future land use map. At the November 6th Planning Board hearing, the board voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the rezoning based on the compatibility of the requested rezoning with the Harnett County Land Use Plan. There were several residents who were present at the meeting to speak in opposition. These residents noted concerns of increase of traffic safety issues with the additional trips that could potentially be created with a commercial use of the property. The potential effects of the values of adjoining properties was also mentioned at the hearing. And staff is now open for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for staff? Hearing none, I will now open the floor for the public hearing on proposed zoning change, Plan 2309-0003. If anybody would like to speak in regards to this proposed zoning change, now is your time.
Good evening. I'm Jonathan Tucker with TFD 141 Country Haven Lane, Fuquay Varina. First, I just want to say thank you to all the commissioners for being here, giving me time to speak on this tonight. I want to thank the county staff and the county planning committee for giving thoughtful consideration of our request. We believe this parcel should be rezoned commercial. Keep it in line with the recent rezonings in the area on the opposite side of the street. It's in line with the comprehensive use plan as an area that should be considered for commercial use. Since it is a commercial property, and if and when it gets developed, we will work with all applicable entities required by law including NCDOT, Harnett County, Building, DEQ, everybody. We do understand the traffic concern at the intersection. We've been on Rawls Church Road for 20 years. We live and work in the area. It's our understanding that there's planning for the stoplight. We would love to see one there. Rezoning this, giving us the opportunity to develop this into a commercial piece of property will allow us to be good partners of the community and work with the folks in our community to make sure it's a safe development. So, and if there's any questions, happy to take them now.
Sir.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sir.
Up until the planning board, I'd never spoken in front of one of these before. The nice lady here with the planning board made comment about, and I've heard tonight and at the planning board meeting, reasonable impact. There's a lot of impact going on at that intersection. So most of the time it has to do with vehicles. There's not many weekends, not many weeks that there's not orange paint on the ground on that roadway up there. Most weeks there is between there and the intersection at Piney Grove Wilburn Road. There's a wreck. I live at 5363. I live next to this property. We deal with thousands of vehicles a day. You cannot get out in 401 as it is right now. Most of the people that live on the western part of Rawls Church Road have to go down the Jarko lane, cross traffic, turn back, just so we can get on Rawls Church Road going the other way. Growth, controlled growth is not bad. Uncontrolled growth is a terrible thing. And the planning board has failed and failed miserably, because what has happened is this is a typical cart before the horse type situation. We have a whole lot more industry and a whole lot more traffic and no infrastructure being put in whatsoever. And to rezone this as commercial, we don't even know what's going in there, but to rezone it as commercial, to add another commercial property there with the traffic that brings in into an already overloaded, massively overloaded thoroughfare corridor is unreasonable at this time. I'm not saying that it's always be that case, but I would again argue against this rezoning until such time as there is significant and satisfactory infrastructure in place, not so much plans, money set aside. We're going to do it then, because as everybody knows, if DOT's got funding, DOT can pull funding. And we would just like for you to consider that when you're making your decision. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anyone else?
Yeah, my name is Alan Longman, and again, it's about the same intersection that has lots of problems. We hear the planner again say it will not cause any problem in the area as far as traffic and people's concerns are, and yet this is not true. I question the director of the planning board and the planner herself on whether they have the best interest of our community in mind, hearing stories that don't seem accurate. We also like to know that this building can go on later. It doesn't have to be done now. You can get the infrastructure in place and then do the changes. When you do the changes, you don't make them have the changes where it's legal. I want to know what's on that property. I want to know how much is going to be there. I want to know the effect that stuff is going to have. I want the things that need to be done to that area in black and white, in writing, so it's legally represented, so you can hold them legally to what is done with that property. I don't want to give a person a carte blanche and say, yeah, I can do this and I could do that, change it, and then later say, well, I have no legal reason to be held to anything. And I want them to be legally held. It takes time. It doesn't matter. We don't need economic development that's going to harm the community and hurt it financially in the long run. And I believe that's what this will do. I think people's lives are in trouble. It's going to harm the people's lives around that area for sure. And I believe you have to sit there and say, hey, I don't care how long it takes to get economic development right, get the infrastructure down. Let's have it in black and white, what's going to be done for that area so it can be developed properly. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Just one quick comment. So I came off of Hilliard and I hit Rawls Church also to come to this meeting. So I tell my kids, if they go Lillington, that they turn right, go turn around somewhere and come back and go back down to Lillington. So that's why I did do tonight myself too. I couldn't turn left, onto 401 to come down here because it's just so busy. So I turned right, drove up a ways, past the new storage unit, turned around, and came back. So just if there's going to be stuff that's developed, it's going to happen in certain areas. But if it is, there should be, like they're saying. I agree with the first gentleman that's speaking too. That there's got to be something in place because somebody's going to get hit, somebody's kids, whatever, because they're trying to force their way out there, and it's just really busy on that road. So, anyways, that's pretty much it.
Thank you, sir. Here, before we go any further, I just want to do a little housekeeping. Next time anybody approaches the podium, if you would, please state your name and your address. Speaking. Thank you. Anybody else like to speak in regards to this proposed zoning change? Seeing no one move, I will now close the floor for this public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, before we do that, I have a letter here from NCDOT concerning a signal at it's project number 50870, which this has never had a project assigned to it before. It's US 401 at State Road 1415, which is Rawls Church. The new signal at this intersection is fully funded at $825,000. Greenfield Communities paid $175,000 of that, in case anyone's interested in that. The project is currently under design with right-of-way and utility relocation scheduled to begin in the spring of '24. The project is scheduled to be let to contract in the spring of '25. DOT is working to accelerate that date, if at all possible. And then they go on to talk about Piney Grove, Wilburn Road, and 401. I will say to the board, there's other commercial business or commercial tracts of land in that area. One behind the cemetery at Rawls Church, and one on the east side of 401 zone commercial. I worked with a resident in that area for 9 months or more, trying to get a business that wanted to move to Harnett County to move into us on this site and a site on the west side of the railroad. Ultimately, in fact, one of the landowners ended up buying the easement back from Duke Energy that had been there since 1950, sometime in the 50s. This company, for some reason, not sure why, ultimately decided they would relocate. I think they probably ended up in Johnston County, but they were looking at this, and there were landowners of this tract and another tract that we're very much interested in selling. So I guess it's not mine. I don't want it.
Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the zoning.
A motion on the floor to approve the proposed zoning change plan 23090003. Do I hear a second? I have a motion on the floor. Hearing no second, the motion will die. Hearing no further motions, we will move on. This time, now I have the public hearing on proposed zoning change, Plan 23090004.
Right, thank you, Commissioners. Our next case, the applicant is Mr. Don Curry for Curry Engineering, and he's applying to rezone a property from the RA 40 to commercial. Property is approximately 6.73 acres located on US 401 North, just south of the Harnett Central Road intersection there in the Hectors Creek Township. The site is a vacant, unimproved site which is currently used for agricultural purposes. Surrounding land use consists of single-family residences and agricultural activities. Utility services available to the site include public water, and at this time, private septic would have to be utilized. This section of US 401 North sees about 10,500 daily trips. The site distances for the site to US 401 North are described as good. Zoning district compatibility map shows that there is some commercial there just to the north and the east of this property. And the land use classification compatibility shows two things. Number one, this property has a rural center land use classification, which is a development node, future land use classification, as well as that the uses which are permitted within the commercial zoning district are compatible with the uses in the rural center land use. Been several photos of the site there provided for the board to review. So through staff's evaluation, staff found that the impact to the adjacent property is reasonable and the benefits of the proposed rezoning outweigh potential harm to the community. The property is in close proximity to the requested zoning classification. There are several non-residential uses in the area. It is also compatible with the underlying land use. Staff found that the requested zoning district is compatible with the land use classification rural centers. Again, this is a development node which is designed to encourage commercial activity throughout the county. Staff found that the requested zoning would enhance or maintain the public health, safety, and general welfare due to the compatibility through requested zoning classification with the underlying land use. So as stated in staff's evaluation, staff is recommending approval for the requested rezoning to commercial, as it would not have an unreasonable impact on surrounding community based on compatibility with the land use classification. At the November 6th Planning Board hearing, the board voted 4-1 to recommend approval for the requested rezoning from the RA 40 to commercial. There were several residents who attended the meeting and spoke in opposition with the following concerns: the potential for an increase in traffic safety issues in the community, potential for an increase in public safety issues in the community if the property were to be developed as a gas station or potential convenience store. The potential for negative impacts on adjoining property owners, including runoff water, light, noise, and air pollution. And finally, the character of the residential and agricultural community could be adversely affected. And staff is open for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions or comments for staff? Hearing none, this time I will now open the floor for a public hearing on proposed zoning change, Plan 23090004. Anybody would like to speak in regards to this proposed zoning change, now's your time.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Don Curry with Curry Engineering, 205 South Fuquay Avenue in Fuquay Varina. We appreciate staff's presentation and we appreciate your consideration of this zoning request to a commercial zoning. Just wanted to add that we did participate and held a neighborhood meeting for this property. We invited all neighbors within 200 feet to a meeting to talk about the proposal for the rezoning, and at that time we also revealed to them the desire for the property. Now this is a voluntary process. This is not something that was required by the county or by code, but we wanted to do that just to be transparent with the neighbors and explain to them what the intent of the property was. It was at that time we revealed to them the desire was for a commercial use, for a gas station, convenience store, and for an adjacent retail use, future retail use as well, of some sort, which is undecided at this point. But we felt that was a reasonable thing to do. We didn't need to share that level of detail and that information. We also showed a site layout, preliminary site layout plan. But again, we felt like that was appropriate given the nature of this rezoning. As staff mentioned, we have their recommendation for the rezoning. We also have a planning board's recommendation from the meeting on November 6th, and staff mentioned the concerns already, several of which have to do with increases in accidents, noise, lighting, and environmental. I will also note that the development subsequent to a successful rezoning will be designed and implemented in accordance with all Harnett County standards and requirements for the code, as well as NCDOT and NCDEQ. So all standards will be followed in terms of safety, driveway access, turn lanes. We're even showing a shared access into the property so that in order to minimize the number of driveways for the parcel. We do feel that this request is reasonable. Rezoning this property to commercial places it in a category of uses similar to other properties in the immediate area. With uses including a post office, there's a photography business, a catering company, a tree service company, a church, and a general contractor. Some of these businesses, such as the photography business, is actually not in service anymore, but the building, the structure is still there as a commercial type of property and building that's there. Current zoning set classifications for these uses include both RA40 and commercial in the neighboring properties here. There's also a storage place about 1,300 feet to the south and a Porter John Company just to the north of the parcel. We also feel that this zoning would be in the general public interest and not merely in the interest of the individual or small group. A proposed commercial zoning classification will serve the needs of the local community, providing services to neighboring residents and existing commercial businesses. We also feel that the uses permitted under this proposed district would be appropriate in the area included in the proposed change. Uses allowed in the commercial zoning district are appropriate for the area in question. And as I mentioned, subsequent to the successful rezoning, a commercial site plan application will be filed with the county for review that meets all county UDO requirements. Furthermore, the property in question is located in a Harnett County Rural Center, which is identified in the Harnett County Comprehensive Growth Plan as small-scale commercial center. There is convincing demonstration that the character of this neighborhood will not be materially and adversely affected by any use in the proposed change.
Order. Will members in the audience kindly refrain from your sidebar conversations?
The property in question is located along the US 401 corridor, which is an area typically identified as more commercial in nature due to the traffic volume along this roadway. Commercial uses already exist in this rural center, and the proposed rezoning is consistent with the land use and the character of this immediate area of this intersection. The proposed use is in accordance with the comprehensive plan and sound planning practices. As mentioned already, the requested zoning is consistent with the county's comprehensive plan and sound planning practices. The property is located in the rural center, which is identified as a small-scale commercial center. And this meets several of the goals identified in the land use strategies section of the comprehensive plan, including goal LU1, which is to reinforce countywide economic development goals with land use decisions. This rezoning promotes the identified rural center by providing a commercial zoning district within this land use area. It satisfies goal LU2, which is to encourage growth where infrastructure exists. There is existing water and soon to be installed sanitary sewer in the vicinity of the property in question. This satisfies goal LU3, which is to promote quality commercial and retail development at well-located sites in order to help reverse retail leakage trends. The requested rezoning to commercial is at a well-located site per the county's land use plan, which is within an identified rural center development node. This use will serve the immediate community by providing nearby services and thereby reducing trips to outside communities. I appreciate your consideration of this rezoning request. We do feel that it is reasonable and consistent with the county's comprehensive plan, and we appreciate your consideration. I'm available for any questions if you have them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else like to speak in regards to this proposed zoning change?
Hi, good evening. I am Taylor Bradley Beam of 355 Kipling Road. I'm here to stand against this property, of changing this property off Highway 401 in Kipling to commercial property. I have grown up in Kipling. My great-great-grandfather named it Kipling. I'm currently own and live in the house that I grew up in. I've been a Kipling resident my entire life. When I got married, my husband and I decided that we wanted to live on the family farm because we wanted our children to have the same opportunities that I had growing up to be able to live and play outside. My family owns close to 60 acres that adjoins this property on two sides. My young children currently have the freedom to roam this farm and spend many hours outside. My family and my extended family also use this property for evening walks without fear of someone approaching us. This same extended family are the landowners of the Kipling Cross, which is a few yards away from the proposed land change. This cross is a place where the community can come, and even passersby come to sit in silent, quiet moments of prayer. We worry about how this rezoning will adversely affect our day-to-day lives. Gas stations attract people 24 hours a day. My mama always told me that nothing good happens after 10. We worry about trespassers trying to creep on our land, even trying to venture into the wooded areas that are behind our home. We worry about the trash blowing over into our farm, even possible chemical runoff from the gas stations, the gas pumps, the vehicles, and the future gas car wash. We are a working farm, and we have been for over 100 years. It is part of our heritage, something that we want to continue to a tradition of successful crops for many more years to come. How is rezoning changing our property values? What about the light pollution? No one moves to the country and says, I sure wish I had a gas station in my front yard. We live here because it's a quiet place. It brings quiet, peaceful nights, nights filled with stars, not glaring artificial lights. There are already 4 gas stations within a few miles of Kipling. What about the safety of the travelers on 401 and the Kipling residents? Recently, someone crashed into the side of this man's house on a curve. They straightened out the curb. The congestion of a gas station and its customers pulling in and out of 401 would only add to another already dangerous stretch of road. Why would you allow rezoning from agricultural, what Harnett County is strongly rooted in, to commercial? When are we going to stop this growth and preserve our farms and preserve our simple ways of life? Those of us that live within a few miles called Kipling love this community just the way it is. We fully understand that growth is here, but let's be smart about it. Instead of zoning, is it the purpose of zoning to protect our land? At the groundbreaking ceremony of the Northwest Harnett Elementary School, a gentleman spoke and said that we need to plan ahead, then catch up. Our county needs to take this advice to heart. This proposal is not in the best interest of our community of residents. We ask that you please vote no in this rezoning proposal. Thank you.
Anybody like to speak next?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Marge Moore, 86 Gwendolyn Way. Remy Kemp Associates conducted a traffic analysis on October 19, 2021 for the proposed Kipling Village at the intersection of Harnett Central and Ballard Roads, beginning at the railroad crossing opposite Neil Smith Road and Porch Swing Lane. According to the study, this development of 135 single-family homes is projected to add 1,400 vehicle trips daily. In comparison, the 965 approved lots at Matthews Landing are anticipated to contribute approximately 9,800 vehicle trips per day. Furthermore, the expected development of around 1,000 homes, including new and existing constructions on Ballard Road, is predicted to produce an additional 14,500 vehicle trips daily. Most of this traffic is likely to traverse Harnett Central and Highway 401, heading in both southern and northern directions. Placing a gas station so close to this already busy intersection, squeezed between residential areas, could worsen traffic beyond what is currently seen at the Cleveland Springs and gas station area and the Piney Grove Wilburn Rawls Church area. Such an increase in traffic could endanger the safety of school buses, young drivers going to and from school, and daily commuters, leading to substantial traffic and safety issues. Additionally, it's important to consider the effects on homes immediately adjacent to the proposed gas station, including the Kipling Cross area, which would likely face increased traffic, noise, and lighting disturbances. This stretch of 401 is not lacking of gas stations. A Sheetz, 4.7 miles from Harnett Central 401, is a 6-minute drive. The Cleveland gas station, 2.7 miles from Harnett Central 401, is a 4-minute drive. And there's a BP station at Harnett Central and 210, 2.4 miles from this intersection, a 4-minute drive. Moreover, should it also receive approval, the introduction of a YMCA and another commercial entity on the opposite side of Kipling Road is likely to worsen the traffic congestion at this intersection. This could lead to increased and undesirable traffic through the small community of Kipling Church as drivers attempt to avoid intersection delays. I urge the commissioners to reject this commercial rezoning because it would not enhance the public's health, safety, and general welfare due to the potential increase in traffic congestions, accidents, lack of adequate infrastructure, and stress on our EMS services. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Elizabeth Longman, and now I'll be talking about we live on the 234 Hamilton Road, Bun Level area. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a clear indication of where we have people willing to spend their money in Harnett County, and they're being shown the wrong place to spend it. It's not that we don't need gas stations, we just don't need it over there. I suggested, and they're open to the suggestion of opening their gas station elsewhere where it's more needed. Like in that neighborhood, we have where it's 401, 210, and I think 421. There's a big fan over there, which is a gas station desert. If they would have talked, or we had an active economic development section to come and talk to these businessmen and say, oh, this is your goods or whatever, this is where we could use it the most in Harnett County. I guarantee you, in our neighborhood, we do not need a special cross to call Jesus. We call him all the time, day and night, in where we live. We're not worried about that. We also know that we will have the labor, the manpower to be able to serve as employees in this gas station. We also know that we do not have a gas station within walking distance of anything in that area. We can't walk. There's no high quality good, and I hope you're going to bring in a high quality service, not just a cheapy thing, but a good convenience store place. We don't have that in that Bun level area over there that has really grown. There are lots of residential houses that have come up, but no gas stations, none. If Mr. Trout could just talk with these guys and say, come on, let's take a look over here. The landowners there will welcome development that will help the neighborhood. They won't take anything, but this is one thing I know. I've talked to a few of those people who own the land in that area, at least 150, maybe up to 200 plus acres. If the use is good, and this is when I say we are economic development people, if the use is good, they will support it. We all need the gas station. We all need that gas station in our neighborhood. A few miles down from Kipling is a place that is a gas station desert. Why don't we approach those who are willing to invest their money in Harnett County to come and say this is the best use of your investment money in your business? This is where you'll do good business and the community will welcome you. And I guarantee you, in my neighborhood, we're not worried about you, how could you say, lowering the quality of life over there. You might actually be giving us a step up, and with the school planned on Joel Johnson, at the end of Joel Johnson Road, I think there's a school going to be built down there, Mr. Matthews, if I'm not wrong. A gas station now brought into that neighborhood, like they have the BP across from Central, that would be, natural. Natural. I wish we would have got a hold of these landowners before they made this zoning request. I wish they had an office they could come and say, we are business, we want to come to Harnett. Where could we best put our business? They had a place like that in Harnett if they could do that. I run a very small economic development nonprofit called Evolve NC, Community Development Corporation. That is why I'm aware about land use processes.
Can I please bring you back to this
Yes.
proposed zoning change? We're all over the county right
yes.
now.
Land use, all I'm saying is this number 9 request, I'd say denied, and give the people who want to open this business a chance to have a chat with Mr. Trout about where they could best use a gas station in this county, because it's needed, but it may not just be needed at where they're putting it. But Mr. Trout, I'm very sure, could point them in the right direction, and we'll have a gas station where it is wanted and needed.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, board. My name is Zach Hobbs, 99 Kipling Road. I'll keep it brief. I spoke at the planning board meeting in opposition of the proposed rezoning. We live right near this property, and my in-laws' land surrounds it. Obviously, emotion can get in the way of a lot of people's decision making, and I understand that. My argument at the planning board meeting was strictly on the requirements listed in the zoning application. It clearly states that there are 5 requirements that have to be met, satisfied. If any one of those requirements is not satisfied, it clearly states that the property rezoning should be denied. While there's a whole litany of reasons that I could give you that it shouldn't be rezoned, traffic is a ginormous one. I would like to just hit on the character of the neighborhood. Kipling is primarily, if not majorly, residential single-family dwellings, the Kipling Cross, agricultural lands, regardless of the land use plan. That's the way it currently situates. This gas station will negatively impact, materially and adversely impact the surrounding community and properties. And I just ask that you follow the requirements listed in the rezoning application. And we've put together a petition. I think there's a couple other people that have copies of the petition, kind of speaking to the fact that it materially adversely impacts the neighborhood negatively. And I don't know if they want to bring theirs forward to present. Who present these to me?
Clerk. Clerk, please.
Again, thank you for your time. And like I said before, just follow the rules.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Board. My name is Kent Johnson. I am a 30-year resident of 204 Kipling Road. I'm not a public speaker. I'm nervous, but just bear with me. I was able to become a Harnett County resident in 1992. We constructed our home there. I was able to be blessed to have a gift of land from my wife's grandparents. We settled down there. We raised our 2 girls in this county. We are very grateful to this county. This county educated my 2 girls. They prepared them to go to any college of their choice. They were accepted. They both enrolled in college and were very successful there because of the efforts of our County Board of Education and the commissioners. I'm here speaking in opposition to this rezoning request. My son-in-law Zach just spoke. We're neighbors. Primarily from a technical side, but I also want to present a little bit of more of I guess an emotional side. As Taylor, my wife's cousin, has already spoken, this is a very agricultural, rural setting. Many late evening walks occur on this property. The path that we access the property at the end of the farmland goes directly behind where this berm or whatever will be put in behind this property to give it the proper separation. I realize that you appoint the planning board, and I'm sure the planning board are made up of fine individuals that are serving this county. I don't know any of them. But I have a hard time when I look at the consideration in Article 12 of the zoning ordinance that says, 2.4, there is convincing demonstration that the character of the neighborhood will not be materially and adversely affected by any use permitted in the proposed change. Now, I was not at that planning board meeting. If there was convincing evidence presented, I did not see it, and that's on me for not being there. But I find it hard to believe that the planning board could consider this property and look at the setting that's around it and determine that there has been convincing demonstration that the character of our neighborhood will not be changed. I realize as a board, you have a balancing act you're trying to do in this county. This county needs commercial growth. I've been on the school advisory boards. I understand the funding issues our county has. And we need commercial growth. I understand that. You have to probably deal with this every meeting that you have. We can't just have residential development in Harnett County. I understand that. But in my opinion, as an adjoining property owner, as a 30-year resident of this county, this rezoning should not be passed, primarily because I see this one line here, the convincing demonstration that the character of our neighborhood will not be changed. One other point I'd like to make is on the site plan that was submitted that I saw, there is a car wash proposed at the rear of this property. I am a business owner, I own a car wash. Car wash dryers, I don't know how many decibels they are, they're very loud. If a car wash with a dryer system is allowed on this property, everyone would probably within a 1,000-mile radius, I'm guessing, will be able to hear that blower every time it comes on. So that's just a thought I'd add to that, if this is the use that is going to be allowed on this property, if it is rezoned. But I please plead with you to vote down this rezoning and do not pass it. And I thank you so much for your service to this county and for your time. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak in regards to this proposed zoning change?
Darren Longman from 234 Hamilton Road, Bond Level. I just want to reiterate that we need either different planning people, planners, or the director, because it's constantly getting information that directive is supposed to be considered when they're making decisions and when they're talking in public about how to represent something. It seems to be forgotten. There are some ethics that need to be done by the planning people and director to make sure we get proper information and that they take what the audience says seriously. Because it seems like they talk and tell you all these things that are wrong, and you have absolutely fell on deaf ears. If we have to find better people at the top, we need to do that so we don't have these problems. And like you were saying, it's hard for people to understand what's going on in the planning board. We need to free stream that like we do the commissioner meeting, so you can see the process anytime they want of what happened, so they can ask questions and everyone can get together and say, yeah, we don't want this. We can expand these roads now. We can do the infrastructure now and then do the zoning changes when it's appropriate and not dangerous to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody else like to speak in regards to this proposed zoning change?
Good evening, board. My name's Chris Wren. I live at 129 Kipling Road. You just heard from all my neighbors, and a few other folks aren't my neighbors, but I think we're thinking the same way. We moved to Harnett County about 7 years ago. I was a third generation Fuquay. We lived just north of Fuquay near Bent Winds Country Club, and it got really bad up there, traffic wise. And we came to Harnett County to be closer to family and be in a more rural setting. And we absolutely, I think, landed in the best neighborhood and group of neighbors we could have. We've really been blessed, right? We actually live in the home of Mr. and Miss Smith that all these folks are related to that spoke, my neighbors on Kipling. I've got a real two main concerns. One's traffic. I've rendered assistance or pulled people out of cars on the intersection in Ballard and 401 a couple weeks ago. Intersection of Harnett Central and 401, and 2 or 3 times Piney Grove and 401. And I'm not fireman or anything like that. I'm just a regular old guy. So Lord knows how many accidents are on that road. Go up and down that road every day, and pretty much if anybody's crossing the county line, they're coming all the way through to Lillington, right? Not a lot of people stopping to work. It is an absolute cannonball race. They'll pass you on double yellow lines going 90 miles an hour. They'll pass you in turning lanes. It is a scary drive. And I've got kids that drive, and it scares me a lot, to be honest with you. It's changed a lot. I'm concerned about not just the character that I think a gas station is going to have, and then future. It's the first I've heard of the car wash. That's kind of scary. Those fans are loud. I don't think my dogs are like those, but I know I wouldn't. But in the winter, when the leaves fall, we can look out our backyard and we can see the Kipling Cross lit up through some trees that separate us for that brief period of time in the winter. I think Baptist Grove had a baptism out at the ponds, family owns. I think people have been married out there. I constantly see people pulled in there praying. I think there's some real quiet, peaceful, come to Jesus time out there, right? Harnett County, strong roots. I would implore you to let's really try to hold on to those strong roots, because I know this county's known for agriculture, right? Johnson Dairy Farm in Bush Creek was my mama's family. My daddy ran the creamery, and about half of them worked at Campbell College. But we love Harnett County, and I hate what's happened to where I came from. It's not where I came from. The road that turned off my neighborhood on Sunset Lake Road is still a 2-lane road. It's crazy. I would just, like Kemp said, I know, commercials coming, right? And it needs to. People can fall in love with Harnett County, that. a lot of different reasons, but just gotta pump the brakes a little bit. And I tell you what, set the example for these folks that I heard somebody say earlier, where somebody said something about them laughing at Harnett County. I don't think they're laughing at Harnett County. I think they wish they had all the land and resources and people Harnett County's got, to be quite honest with you. But just pump the brakes a little bit and show them how to do it the right way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else like to speak in regards to this proposed zoning change?
Hello, thank you for being here tonight. My name is Kaylee Hobbs. I live at 99 Kipling Road. I've lived on Kipling Road all 26 years of my life. We were able to actually purchase land adjoining and be a part of the family farm that I grew up on. Me and my husband were both born and raised in Harnett County, went to Harnett County schools, were able to go off to any college we wanted to. We're now working in our careers, and we purposely chose to come, we went away to college, but I went to Campbell. We chose to start our roots in Harnett County and stay in our county. We could have went to Wake County or anywhere else, but Harnett County is a wonderful place, and this is where we want to be. We just finished constructing our home in the summer because we want to be here because of the wonderful schools and the things that we do have. But with all these changes, it will not be the same place. And I am one of the people that walk on this land all the time, and I will personally not feel safe with the gas station there. I won't feel safe in my backyard with the gas station in the backyard. Obviously, all the technical things, but I think all those do affect our community and the character. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Would anybody else like to speak in regards to this proposed zoning change? Hearing and see no one move, I will now close the floor for this proposed zoning change and entertain a motion. Hearing no motion.
Sir, did you close out the speakers?
I did, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we deny this rezoning request.
And a motion and a second to deny the proposed zoning change, Plan 23090004. Any discussion? All in favor for denial, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously for denial. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman. I move that we take a 10-minute recess.
Second.
And a motion and a second for a 10-minute recess. We will convene back at 7:42. We are recessed. After a 10-minute recess, I will call the meeting back to order. Moving on to item number 10, consider proposed zoning change case or Plan 2307-0005. And before we get started on these next four, my apologies, these were tabled. I was out of town along with Commissioner Brooks Matthews. I was actually sick. But I wanted to say that I did tune in. I heard everybody's statements and comments, and it did not go on deaf ears. So before we get started, I just want to let everybody know that. So now we will consider proposed zoning change Plan 2307-0005, which was previously tabled on October 16th, 2023.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we remove this from being tabled and bring it to consideration before the board tonight.
I have a motion to take Plan 2307-0005 off the table and bring it up for consideration.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on untabling this item? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is now off the table.
Mr. Chairman, since we've already had the public hearing on this and there's another public hearing is not necessary, based on the fact that the residents of in this area of Sherman Drive and Greenfield have agreed that the cul-de-sac will remove the objections that they had for making this basically a drive-through. I make a motion that we approve this rezoning.
So a motion on the floor to approve the rezoning of Plan 2307-0005 from RA40 to RA30. Do I hear a second on this motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the requested zoning change of Plan 2307-0005 from RA40 to RA30. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. At this time, I'll now conduct a vote by a show of hands for all those in favor of proposed zoning change of 2307-0005 for approval from RA40 to RA30. Please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. All those opposed, raise your hand. 1, 2. The motion carries for approval, 3-2, Madam Clerk. And now we will move on to item number 11, consider proposed zoning change, Plan 2308-0003.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we remove this from the table and bring this before the board for further discussion. We've already had the public hearing on it.
Motion to remove this proposed zoning change from the table?
Second.
A motion and a second in order to remove proposed zoning change 2308-0003 from the table for consideration. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously to remove off the table.
Mr. Chairman, after having discussed this particular rezoning request with a representative of Kipling Church and the developer, in order for them to, my understanding is they've reached an agreement on this tract of land, along with the other two that will come up following this. In order for them to finalize their agreement, get maps drawn, get written agreements in place, and whatever else they're going to have to do, I would like to make a motion to table this till January the 15th of 24.
Motion to table this proposed zoning change until January 15th, 2024.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to table proposed zoning change plan 23080003 to January 15th, 24. Is there any discussion?
Yes, question.
Yes.
Are we including 11, 12, and 13, all three of them in it?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Right now, we're only taking in consideration number 11.
Number 11. Okay.
There's a motion, a second on the floor to table until.
Okay.
Is there any questions or comments? Any discussion? All in favor of tabling this until January 15th, 24, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously for tabling until the 15th of January 24, Madam Clerk. Okay. Item 12, consider proposed zoning change plan 23080002.
Mr. Chairman, since I was the one that made the motion to table this, I'll make a motion that we remove it from the table and bring it before the board for consideration.
I have a motion to remove plan 23080002 from the table for consideration.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to remove plan 23080002. It was previously tabled October 16th, 23, from the table for consideration. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? This item is now off the table and will be held open for consideration. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, based on the same reasons as I stated for item 11, I would make a motion that this item be tabled until January 15th of 24.
I have a motion on the table on the floor for plan 23080002 to be tabled until January 15th, 24.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to table plan 23080002 be tabled until January 15th, 24. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the tabling, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Tabling carries unanimously, Madam Clerk, for January 15th, 24. Item 13, consider proposed zoning change, plan 23080004.
Mr. Chairman, being that I made the motion to table this, I make a motion to remove it from the table, bring it for consideration before the board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to remove plan 23080004 from the table for consideration. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is now removed from the table for consideration.
Mr. Chairman, based on the same reasoning and using the same reasons as before, I make a motion that this item be retabled till January 15th of 2024.
Motion on the table on the floor.
Second.
A motion and a second on the floor to remove plan 23080004 from the table for consideration. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. This item is now off the table and for consideration.
No, I don't think I don't know if we mixed up. Did you want to table that until January 15th?
That's
Chairman?
this motion.
Okay. I think it got mixed up. You repeated the same
I did.
motion.
You know what? It's been a long evening. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, the motion was to table it to January the
Okay.
15th of 2024.
Okay, so we had a motion and a
January
second
15.
in order to table this plan 23080004 until January 15th, 2024. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, this is now tabled until January 15th, 2024 as well. Right, item number 14, presentation of the recommended capital improvement program by Ms. Lisa McFadden. Good evening.
Good morning, or actually, good evening. It's been a long day.
Just seems like
It's like tomorrow. But tonight we are presenting the capital improvements program for fiscal years 25 through 31. Our CIP is a 7-year plan that includes all capital projects that are $100,000 or more. This year's CIP has 68 projects, and that includes 14 new projects, 34 approved projects, and 20 future projects. Next week at the CIP work session, we'll go through each of the projects individually and we'll talk about them in more detail. You can ask any questions. And then on December the 4th, we'll have the public input session. And on December the 18th, hopefully we'll have board approval. The CIP can be found on our county's website, and you've also got a copy at your desk. And we've got a hard copy available for the public downstairs at the information desk as well. Do y'all have any questions for me at this time?
Any questions or comments from Ms. McFadden?
Not at this time.
Now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, moving on to the county manager's report. Mr. Trout.
Thank you, Chairman. The one I'd like to mention tonight is I sent you an email this afternoon related to the employee recognition luncheon that's coming up on December 1st in this building downstairs. It's first opportunity we've had in over 3 years to have this recognition luncheon in person due to COVID issues that have occurred in the past. So please check your email. You're all invited to attend the luncheon if you can make it on December 1st. Chair, I do need approval of budget amendments and also tax rebates and refunds.
Motion to approve budget amendments is directed by the Finance Director.
Second.
And a motion and a second to approve budget amendments as requested by the finance officer. Is there any discussion?
Madam Finance Officer, this is your standard monthly stuff. There's nothing extra in there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Budget amendments carry unanimously, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion to approve tax rebates, refunds, and releases.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve tax rebates, refunds, and releases as requested by the tax administrator. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries as well, unanimously, Madam Clerk. Do we have any new business before the board? Hearing none, do we have a need for closed session?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to go into closed session for the following reason: to discuss certain personnel matters. This motion is made pursuant to North Carolina General Statute, Section 143-318.11A6.
Chair will second for sake of time. I have a motion and a second to go into closed session. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are in closed session.
After a motion in closed session, to reconvene in open session, to call the meeting back to order.
Move to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn. Motion and a second to adjourn, we are adjourned.